Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. This is Edie and Nick, and we are getting ready for the GameHounds. Hi, how you doing? How's your week? Mine was, you will notice, piles of boxes and speakers and stuff like that. That's all stuff going for the garage sale that I'm having tomorrow. And Nick is, apologies for chewing. We haven't started the show yet. It's Cheez-Its. I can't help it. Cheez-Its are the superior snack cracker.
What's going on, guys? And actually, welcome back to the channel.
What you looking for?
Are they, though?
What, Cheez-Its?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait,
Name me a better.
are you talking about crackers specifically, or all sorts of snack foods?
But yeah, not with anything. I mean, Ritz with about alone, naked, nude, solo. The Cheez-It is the superior snack cracker.
Okay, if you're talking crackers specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Cheeses are good. I really like Wheat Thins.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they're good.
Triscuits are awesome. Wheat Thins are disgusting.
Triscuits, they're too messy.
Bitter says, "Hey, Alejandra, how you doing, Bitters? Well, thanks for winning the chat room." Yeah, no, I agree. But like, the nice thing about Triscuits is you can actually make them into a nutritionally viable meal.
Sure. Oh wait, he says.
Corey says
72
T-minus 72 hours or less until the season 2 of the greatest Netflix show drops.
I mean, he
What
might
would that be?
He might be talking about Floor's Lava, which comes out this Friday, but that's a week away, not 72 hours.
It's not the greatest show ever made by Netflix. Come on, really? Love and Robots is out, and you have to watch that. But
Yes, I still need to watch it. I have been watching Stranger Things.
I'm not up on Stranger Things. It's another one of those shows that I can't quite bring myself to watch just yet.
Oh, was it a Kevin show?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. That was our era. We grew up in that era. We were that
true.
age at that time. We get that on a way that you cannot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those were us. Those were our friends. Each of those archetypes we knew or were. Especially Kevin. Like his group of friends, like his, Kevin 1.0 and Eric and Kimber and all that absolutely was like that group of friends. You'd like go, oh yeah, that's definitely Eric. He does say it is Floor's Lava. That's not the greatest show.
You know what? I just started watching The Circle too.
What is The Circle?
It's like a reality competition show.
Forget it. Don't care. Reality competition. 2 things I won't do.
No,
I hate people enough. I don't need a television show to show me why I should hate them more.
I know you like competition shows though.
I like competition shows that are competitions about skill.
Yeah,
not
like
about
shows,
sabotage.
Shows, yeah. Well, what I've liked about The Circle so far?
Mm-hmm.
It is like front up and center, like a popularity contest, but all of the people don't ever actually see each other. They're put into apartments in like a building, and they only communicate via text message with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like they have very limited profiles that they can set up, put in one picture, type out a paragraph, but it is flat out a popularity contest.
Fuck
and
that.
So
fuck that. No.
Some people, you don't have to be who you say you are. And so some people have created a persona of like, hey, there's in the first season right away, a guy's like, I'm using pictures of my girlfriend to do this. But what's really interesting about it, and what I think maybe they didn't even intend, but it actually makes me think of all things American Vandal. The final season, the first season of American Vandal,
I remember that.
ended in a way that kind of said, "Hey, we all present ourselves differently online, obviously, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like we're someone different online, but we're not fake. Like that person is still an aspect of who we are." And American Vandal, like its big takeaway from the season was like who we are online is still an aspect of ourselves and our personality. And what's interesting about the circle is even seeing these people with fake profiles and everything, the connections they make with others are real. Like they make actual friendships.
You
and, like,
are
talk
thinking
to
way
people.
too hard about something that does not deserve that much thought. It's garbage TV, is what it is.
I would disagree.
Cheaply made garbage TV.
I mean,
about garbage people who are like
see, it's not. That's the thing. It's not garbage people.
catfishing is not garbage people.
No, because like
Because we're all inside, deep inside. It is an aspect of us. A lie is still a lie, even if it's got like a little bit of truth in it. Those are
Yes.
the most effective lies.
yeah, but what I'm saying is the connections they
Shouldn't
make
like
with
so,
people,
that makes the lie a little more noble because it's
connections
got a
they make
little
with people
truth.
are real in an interesting way. It's interesting to see the ways that reality and genuineness mix and bleed over with fakeness and fiction. Like
I think that is a dangerous thing to. I think it is an interesting philosophical conversation for two people to have. I think it
mean,
is
it's not-
terribly
it's not-
dangerous to put it into a television show because then it ends the conversation and normalizes that kind of stuff.
but that's the
A
thing.
bit like people would, like Kevin tried to convince me that Survivor and Big Brother were perfectly fine because nobody took them seriously. I absolutely can draw a bright line in the degradation of respect between people and also the way that people treat each other, the acceptability of manipulation and the glorification of manipulating others. Starting with Survivor.
I feel like
The
that's one
rise of the
aspect
asshole
where
culture.
I don't think Survivor contributed to that as much as it was a symptom of that. Mm-hmm. You can trace a line. I mean, and I think that's an aspect of the larger cultural shift. I know a lot of people were talking about.
Well, I
South
think,
Park.
yes, I think it is absolutely an aspect of a larger cultural shift that was spurred on by things like Survivor. Starting with Survivor, percolating through to Big Brother, going through into all of the reality show television where it started to normalize people fighting with each other in a family in really embarrassing ways and just being assholes. You can absolutely draw a line from Survivor all the way to, what was the name of that really obnoxious girl on Dr. Phil who actually ended up like becoming famous? The out of control tween.
Not Honey Boo Boo.
No, not Honey Boo Boo. Although Honey Boo Boo is definitely in the continuum. What was her name? She's actually, I think she's a rapper or something. Like she might even be a social media personality. It's just a garbage human being.
Bad Bunny.
Bad baby, bad bunny.
It must be Bunny. Bad Bunny is someone I've heard of.
Yes, I think it is Bad Bunny who was who started on Dr. Phil because she was a, you know, the character that Cartman played on, you know, where it's like, fuck you, I do what I want. Yeah.
You mean Cartman?
The Cartman, right? That,
Yeah.
But Cartman was a caricature of this kid showing up on Dr. Phil, who is now, I think, Bad Bunny or whatever her name is. But there's absolutely continuing.
Oh wait, Bitters and Coy Wallace say Bad Bunny is a dude.
Bad Bunny. No, okay, it wasn't Bad
Rapper.
Bunny. It bad somebody. Bad Barbie. Bad.
Oh, maybe Bad Barbie.
Was it Bad Barbie?
It's like BAHD,
Yes.
right?
Yes. AC Wraith. Look it up. Who's
See,
the
I'm-
really obnoxious, out of control child who ended up being now is a YouTube personality?
I remember when I first started this show, I was the young one, and now I'm old enough to like not understand the current pop culture of people. The Cash Me Outside girly.
It's
Okay,
Bad Baby. BHADBHABIE. Bad Baby is her name. Yeah. That's her. So, yeah, you can absolutely draw a line from.
Okay. Oh,
between
AC Wraith with the fucking Wikipedia.
There we go.
Danielle Bagoli.
Bagoli, known as
has-
professionally Bad Baby, is an American rapper, songwriter, and internet personnel. She first became known in an appearance at Dr. Phil in September 2016, in which she uttered the phrase, "Catch me outside, how about that?" which became a viral video meme and catchphrase. There you go. Anyway, we just got into a deep philosophical conversation that
We did.
just
Anyways,
did not need to have.
Which is all to say, I've actually been enjoying The Circle and found it to be a shockingly like wholesome reality show of all things, because it's kind of about these people forming what seem like genuine connections and friendships. It even has the like in a popularity contest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, can we
Stranger
start the
Things.
show?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I still have a bunch of work before tomorrow. Stand by.
Okay, Shepard, either get on my lap or do something, but don't just sit there. Shepard, get off of the fucking laptop.
Yeah, that's the other downside of laptops is cats can lie on them.
Have you
All right,
seen?
checkity-check.
Have you seen them get in front of me? They'll lie on a keyboard no matter where it is. They will.
Yeah, they don't
I
care.
could put the keyboard on the other side of the apartment, and they will be like, "I know where that is.
Cats
I'm not
are
going to
assholes.
lie in your lap.
Cats
I'm gonna
are
go track down
assholes.
that keyboard."
No doubt. Cats are assholes. Wow, I'm really having to turn down the brightness here. I have no idea what it looks like on YouTube, but it's crazy.
Bitters Plus says, "So we're not going to have the Biden debate? What's the Biden debate? Is that like a debate about Biden, or is that like a reference to something else?"
I'm not gonna debate Biden. AC Ray said there's a perfectly comfortable keyboard to sit on and block the screen. Why? Why would we go anywhere else but? Yes. The Bitters Plus Cash Me Outside girly. That's her. Anyway. Let's start the show.
Yeah.
All right, give me a second. Need to go to my show tracks.
Okay.
Ooh, that
Shepard,
did
you
not
want
sound
out?
good.
There. Go out.
These podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 641. We are recording this on Sunday, May 29th, 2022. This is the Sunday before Memorial Day. I hope you have plans. I have plans. None of them are fun, but they're profitable. I'm going to have a garage sale tomorrow, so that's what I've been doing all weekend. But I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. How you doing, Nick?
Hello. Good. I actually don't have any plans for.
You don't have any plans for tomorrow?
No, not really.
God, if I'd have known, I'd have you come up here and help me with the garage sale because I can't. It's something garage sales or something. At least here, you cannot do it one person. You got to have a team because otherwise people will steal stuff. It's. I have no idea how popular it's going to be this year, but in the past it's been shoulder to shoulder people, so things can disappear.
Really?
Yeah,
That many people? I've never seen that many people at a garage sale.
the Point Richmond garage sales. Point Richmond garage sales are literally shoulder to shoulder.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know I've got photos. Maybe I have some photos. Yeah, that's why like normal garage sales, you'll sell something for a quarter. Nobody sells anything less than $2 because it's just that many people. You can charge twice or three times what you normally would on a garage sale just simply because it is that many people. This year we don't know how many people are going to show up, but 2 years ago, which was the last one, it was shoulder to shoulder.
Man.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing this week? What did you play, Nick?
Well, I will say AC Wraith says that he has not played much Elden Ring. But I have.
Mm-hmm.
I finally hooked up the PlayStation and went back to Elden Ring, which I did not play a lot of it.
Right?
I spent most of it running through a poison lake and trying not to die. But like the couple hours of it that I played last night for the first time in several weeks
Mm-hmm.
reminded me that I really do feel like this is the modern iteration of survival horror, and just
Back.
beyond anything
There we
else about those games.
Mm-hmm.
I just really, really enjoyed the like second to second progress of being in a dangerous, strange new area and like literally peeking around every corner. It's just like a fun. It's scary, but it's scary in that really fun, methodical way of like I just need to take one step at a time, check behind a corner, another few steps, check behind a corner, and just it feels like a survival horror game, except then you get into a cool action scene and you can
Right.
fight the monsters, and then you go back to sneaking around. And it's the fact that this game is so big is nice because that just once you explore an area, going back through it doesn't have that same tension, right? Because you know where everything is. The game has to keep on providing new environments for you to explore to like stay interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and it has certainly done that. So, yeah, it's you know what? 2 weeks away, I gotta say, Elden Ring still a pretty good game.
This should not come as a surprise. Anything else that you played?
Yes, I have played. There's a new mode in Rainbow Six Extraction that I played with Chris, called Nightmare Fog, and
Mm-hmm.
let me try to share a video of this. It is a cool new mode where basically you play through the general game. You know, you go through, there are objectives each level, except now there's like this purple mist over everything that A makes it really fucking hard to see. There are so
Mm-hmm.
many times that I've been running, me or Chris have been running through the fog, gotten turned around, and have just gotten lost in the map because it's so hard to see in front of you. But the fog is poison. And when you're in it, a little meter starts going up. And when it gets to 100%, you get high. It's basically like a hallucinogenic fog.
Okay.
So the higher it gets, the more you start to see things.
Okay.
And that means you start seeing enemies that aren't really there. And what that means is sometimes there are times where I'm like at 90% hallucinations and I'm in the safe room, right? I'm in the quarantine room. I turn around and all of a sudden there's an enemy just standing there. And it's like, oh shit, he's right here. Oh no, I'm in a safe room. He's not real. He's not real. It's fine. What's interesting is how they kind of tell. You can kind of tell which ones are real and which ones aren't because of the way they move. The fake ones will oftentimes just kind of appear and they'll be like standing very still, whereas the real ones will come at you. But then as your hallucinations start getting higher and higher, as you start getting more and more infected, the hallucinations start coming to attack you as well. And
Do they actually do damage?
no, they don't.
Oh.
But, they cause you to panic. So when you're in this fog, the nightmare fog, it goes up really fast. The meter that you're in goes up super fast. So to counter that, in about 2 places in each level, there are safe rooms where you run in there, you pop open the door, and it's a room that's not infected with the fog. And there's also little canisters there that will decrease the fog percentage by about 30%. And so a lot of it is like in the beginning, you're in this protective dome, and it's a lot of look at the map, look around, a lot of reconning. Those recon drones are a absolute lifesaver because you find some safe rooms, and then you have to think, okay, should we make a beeline to safe room A, pop the things to get our infection down, then make a beeline to the objective, solve the objective, run to the second safe room, pop the things to get our infection down, then run to the quarantine room, go on to the next level. And so it's a lot of trying to manage your infection. You have to move fast. It's basically the game speed run because you want to spend as little time in the fog as possible.
Right. That makes sense.
The ending is always the same, though. Like, well, actually, it feels like the middle objective and the ending objective are always the same. The middle objective is always the aberrant nests, which is there's a whole bunch of enemy nests in the location, and when you shoot one, the others come to life and start spawning enemies. And so you have to take them out as fast as possible.
Is this called, the Nightmare Fog? That's the name of the event, right?
Yes. And if you complete the second of 3 objectives, then the boss in the third objective will start at half health, which is kind of a nice bonus. The boss in the third one is always another tree. So in the main game, when one of you guys dies, they don't really die, they just get captured. And you can rescue them by basically finding them stuck in this alien tree and pulling them out of it.
Right.
The way it works in the normal game is someone is pulling your guy out of the tree. Well, that tree is spawning tentacles. And wherever that tentacle anchors to a wall, it kind of starts pulsing little health bubbles. And if those health bubbles reach the tree, like it makes it harder to rescue your soldier. So you're constantly like shooting at the anchor points to disconnect the tentacles from the wall. In Nightmare Fog, you're not rescuing someone, but you are still fighting the tree. So what happens is you just shoot one of the anchor points, and every time one of those little pulse things hits the tree, it gets health back. So you're kind of just, when the pulses hit the tree, it gets health back. Meanwhile, it's constantly losing health. So what you have to do is basically just disconnect the tentacles from the wall, stop those pulses from hitting the tree. It's the same general gameplay as it is with the normal game, except you're not trying to rescue someone.
Right.
The catch is that when you start shooting the anchors on this tree, enemies start spawning and charging at you. So it gets really, really hard because they'll spawn some really strong enemies. But we were actually able to beat the missions, like get through all 3 objectives twice in the several game rounds that we played.
Oh, that's good.
Having the auto turret absolutely helps. Having decoys absolutely helps. And yeah, it's an interesting mode because it just requires you to fight within this fog that's making you hallucinate enemies. it's a super fun new mode that kind of adds a level of panic to the general game.
Sounds cool. I didn't realize that you were playing that until after you guys had long logged off. It was very, very early in the morning. So I didn't see it, but I have been. I was actually playing my own multiplayer game that night. I was playing Crusader Kings 3 multiplayer with it was Jay the Game Guru that wanted to play with me.
Oh, cool.
So it's essentially the same thing, except it adds a level of, I don't want to say complexity, but a different level to Crusader Kings in that, especially if you are joining someone, first off, the joining of people is not easy. It's buggy. Number one. Number two, not buggy, it's just finicky to get in. But once you're in, you play together. The person who started the game is the host. Everybody else is the guest. As the guest, you really have no control over how fast the game is playing. You could stop the game and you could start the game, but you maybe if they've allowed you, if the host allows you to, you can have the choice of starting and stopping the game, but you can't affect the speed. And sometimes the host is like, wants to move forward quickly. And then all of a sudden you on your end are just getting notification. Oh, and so you're just kind of like, yeah, trying to sort stuff out.
I keep forgetting that Crusader Kings is not turn-based.
It is not turn-based. No, not at all. Not in the least. So it is fun. It's actually not a bad way to learn how to play the game, especially if you're playing with somebody who really knows what they're doing.
Okay.
We've been communicating through Discord, so I can watch someone. I can watch him. Like if something comes up, he can pause it and show me what's going on, or run it slowly, show me what's going on in Discord, and then I can kind of go yes or no. So you learn a lot from playing it multiplayer.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a different way. You learn how to be a lot more okay with things going wrong. Bottom line, you just, if you are a type A personality like I am when it comes to my Crusader Kings gameplay, I want to play very slowly, so I read everything, don't miss everything. Yeah, when you're playing multiplayer, you do not have, especially if you're not the host, you do not have that luxury. So you just learn to let things go. So yeah, but it's good. I enjoy it, and it is a whole different thing. And then, like, on top of that, if I want to make an alliance with you and you are playing in the multiplayer, you actually get to choose. Or if I want your daughter to marry my son, I can propose the marriage, and it shows up for you as a proposal of marriage for your son, and you can choose to deny it. I got brought into Jay's coven of witches, so I'm actually playing a witch on that and creating a coven.
So it's not really like competitive or cooperative multiplayer. It
can be competitive. It can be cooperative.
Yeah, it's kind of whatever it is in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I've never gone to war with Jay. I could go to war with Jay. I don't want to. Would I beat him? Fuck yes, I would beat him. I would absolutely wipe him off the map right now. But because I have, I knew what to do. I hit the ground fucking running, and he didn't. So, and he takes things super personal. Like somebody tries to, I married one of my daughters off to one of his sons, and my daughter started a murder scheme. She was caught against his heir. I guess they didn't like each other. And of course, he took it personal and decided to wipe her and everybody else that was connected to her off the map. And it's like, you do realize that you waste a lot of resources to do that. You're wasting a lot of time. It happens. Murder schemes happen. You stopped him. She's not going to murder him now. You caught her. She's not going to murder her. Yeah, but she tried to. I'm like, no.
You know how you
Family.
can be sure that they won't murder someone again? You
No.
murder them.
Right. That's what he did. And he actually started a murder. I brought her back to my court. He had her divorced. I brought her back to my court, and then
So
he
you're
launched a murder scheme
protecting
on her.
a murderer.
Well, yeah, she was my daughter.
She fled, what's the guy from Lethal Weapon 2? Diplomatic immunity.
Yes, she took diplomatic. She came back to me. It wasn't like I wasn't angry with her. I was angry with her. I married her off so that she could produce some very good babies for me, and she had one or two, and then he murdered her. You know, he had a secret scene. Jay murdered her in my court.
So he had to like start a murder plot of his own.
Yes, he started a murder plot on her after she came back to my court.
I thought it was just like a simple execution. I actually like this way better.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is way more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Abso-freaking-lutely. So anytime you want to play this together, I would love to.
I might have to, because I think it's actually out on console now too.
It is out on console. I don't know that the multiplayer is cross-platform, but it is out on console.
Okay. So now the question is, are you going to retaliate against him for murdering your daughter?
No, take it personal.
Okay. You're like, it's fine. No one likes
It's politics. It's what happens.
She was.
How dare you rebel against? How dare all of my vassals rebel against me? I'm going to strip them of all of their titles and then give their titles away. And it's like, yeah, you could, but if you do, then you're going to have another uprising in less than 5 years. If you let them go back, they are barred from having an uprising against you for 10 years. You have to, you have to be strategic about this. Of course the vassals will go up against you. What happens.
That's politics. That's
politics.
Not a murder plot.
Right.
Murder plot, that's way more personal. That's up close. She wanted to stick the knife in herself.
I've contacted. Should I tell you about what I did with Comcast this week? Trying to say, look, this is a problem.
Okay.
Get a hold of somebody and saying, look, my internet keeps going up and down every 5 to 10 minutes and dropping. This is a problem. I do podcasts. I answer phones for a living. I'm having my phone disconnected. Something needs to be done. Did you turn it off and on again? Yes, I turned it off and on again. Did you reset it? Yes, I reset it. I went through the whole thing. Then finally she said, well, what needs to happen is you need to reduce the security levels of your firewall. And I was like, I just want to make clear what you just said to me. In order to fix my internet that was working fine last week, you need me to fix it this week. I need to reduce my firewall security. That would fix the problem. She said, yes. And I go, I need to speak to your manager. I am not reducing my security to make your internet work. And she's like, okay, no problem. So she connects me to the loyalty team. And I explained to the loyalty team guy, hey, this is what's going on. This is what she explained. And he goes, oh, we're the loyalty team. We deal with disconnections. Do you want to disconnect your internet? I'm like, no, I want you to fix my internet. And he's like, I have no idea why she sent him to you. I'm like, oh, she just wants me to disconnect the account. Awesome. All right. Well, so then I started again, and then I got the gigantic runaround. So I have to try again. It's Comcast. If worse comes to worse, I will leave them. And, they look at me and they're like, oh, you've been with us for 2 decades. I'm like, yes, I have. Let's fix this problem, because then this will be the last week that I work with you, because this has been going on for now a week. More than a week and 2 days. Anyway, Comcast, not a surprise. Shouldn't be a surprise.
It shouldn't. In the general tab of our Discord, AC Wraith has been going through some phone drama. Because his phone suddenly stopped accepting or making calls.
Oh, awesome.
And also, Bitters Plus has said, and I agree with this, let the rivers of their blood paint the land.
That's a very reasonable response.
Yeah.
I think reasonable and measured response.
And
Absolutely.
I do, Bitters, you need to clarify. You said earlier that I made a cool discovery this week, but I'm
Where
not
was
sure
it?
what that is. Is it referring to Elden Ring or something else?
And then he said giggity. I don't know what that brought that on. So yeah, that's our thing. Anything else before we hit our news?
No. I would
All
like,
right.
even though I like opened up Elden Ring, uh, I want to like play some more Game Pass games because there are specifically two that have come out recently that people say like just praise up and down as being like some of the best indie games of the year, and I'd like
Which
to
ones?
see what that's about. One called Norco, Norco,
Like the drug. Okay.
and Citizen Sleeper.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
it's about that.
in lieu of that, let's hit the news.
Oh, he's mentioning
Oh,
the
what?
fog game.
Oh, the fog game. Okay. Let's hit the news.
Cool discovery.
This
Anyway.
is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Game Ready Nick DeNicola, who won't shut the fuck up while I'm trying to introduce the news. And our
What was
first
that?
item is
Huh? I don't. What? Huh? What am I interrupting?
all of a sudden you're speechless.
What am
Your
I
first
interrupting?
item
I was
is
doing
Nick.
something.
What's our first item?
Okay. Well, there have been rumors of a PS5 Pro and a next Xbox.
This doesn't
And-
surprise me. It's about that time.
It is about that time, but also the rumors are very, very light. Basically, the TV manufacturer TLC, like, was showing off their 2022 products, and they have
TLC is a television manufacturer?
TCL.
Oh, okay. TC. I'm like TLC. TLC is a television network channel. Channel
That's
network.
right. Yeah. TCL showing off the 2022 products in a like slideshow.
Okay.
And one of the slide had like just generation 9.5 and kind of I don't think there weren't any screenshots of this that came out. It's just like secondhand information. But supposedly that mentioned details about PS5 Pro and the new Xbox with claims of outputting at 8K resolution with frame rates up to 120 frames per second. That's kind of it. So take it all with a grain of salt, especially, I think, doubly, triply, quadruply grain of salts when you consider that most screens can't even support 8K with 120 frames per second. So why put out a new console that most televisions can't actually support? Also, most people can't actually buy these new consoles. Why put out a new console when people are having trouble buying just this version?
Yeah.
And kind of everything about it, even though, yes, the timeline, like the PS4 Pro came out about 3 years after the PS4. But I think the difference is that when the PS4 came out, it was already like underpowered. I put that in quotes because like it could run games well, but there were slides. Okay. But when the PS4 and Xbox Series and Xbox One came out, they were considered generally underpowered compared to PCs at the time. So it made sense for there to be kind of a fast turnaround for a Pro version. The Xbox Series and PS5 are not considered underpowered by computers of this time. If anything, the games haven't actually taken advantage of that. We talked about this before. Like Unreal Engine 5 is the next gen engine that will allow next gen games to actually look next gen, and none of them are even out yet. Nothing that uses the next generation engine is out yet. So these next generation consoles have kind of felt largely irrelevant up to this point. So I think all those things make it seem like this Gen 9.5 speculation, this Gen 9.5 mention in the TCL slideshow is more speculation than confirmation. I think
I
personally.
think so. I agree.
It's just like, considering what came before, this is what you can expect from the next video game consoles, and therefore this is the specs that we are going to try to hit with our TV. It's not any sort of confirmation or insider information. It's just, this is what we see coming, therefore this is what we're going to make. Because remember, this is from a presentation about TCL's new televisions. So of course they're going to talk about like what they expect the market to shift to. Like, I get things like that all the time when my company does a presentation, is this is where we think the market is going, therefore this is what we are going to try to hit.
Right. Yeah, Bitter says we need at least another 5 years, unless we can get a new Genesis and Turbo Graphics with updated specs. All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to call mild bullshit on this. Mildly. It may be that TCL was just speculating that they would be doing that. There's no confirmation, but it was an interesting rumor. Interesting way to get some attention for your presentation.
Yeah. And the Kotaku article specifically mentions that, like, one of the reasons this probably blew up over the weekend is that with all of the big games being delayed, people like getting excited for things. You know, they like seeing what's coming up.
It's the excitement season. It's is what
hype.
we would normally have during this time, would be announcements like this at E3, but there is no E3.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we're feeling like the vestigial sensitivities towards being excited for something coming out, but there's nothing to be excited about.
Yeah.
So the other big news this week, Raven Software officially announces that it has unionized, becoming only the second company or second, organization to have unionized in the video game industry. Game Workers Alliance, in America, right? Game Workers Alliance won the union vote. The votes were tallied this week. I believe it was like last Tuesday or last Monday. The union passed 19 out of 22 votes with 2 challenged ballots. The election does make it the first union at Activision Blizzard and the second formal union in the United States. Jessica Taylor, a spokesperson for Activision Blizzard, who did absolutely everything it possibly could to keep this from happening, to the point of, tacit threats of like, do you really want to do this, guys? And then on top of that, making everybody but the Raven Software quality assurance team full-time employees with a salary bump and saying, you kind of brought it on yourself because we'd like to give you this raise, but we can't because of union rules because you're in the middle of a vote.
Funny that the salary bump didn't happen before.
Yeah, it didn't happen before, but sure as shit happened as soon as, for everybody else, as soon as the union union vote started.
Through his closet, and he just found all this extra money, and he's like, you know what?
Back of the couch, it happens.
And he's like, I am a generous person. I don't need this money. I'm going to give this to the employees.
Absolutely. So the spokesperson for Activision Blizzard, Jessica Taylor, said to The Verge, quote, we respect and believe in the right of all employees to decide whether or not to support a vote for a union. We believe that it's an important decision that will impact the entire Raven Software studio of roughly 350 people, should not be made by 19 employees. I'm sure you do, especially since those employees said, no, we want a union.
Yeah.
In a statement to The Verge, the same Verge, the Game Workers Alliance wrote, quote, our biggest hope is that our union serves as an inspiration for the growing movement of workers organizing at video game studios to create better games and build workplaces that reflect our values and empower all of us. We look forward to working with management to positively shape our working conditions and the future of Activision Blizzard through a strong union contract. Now, for its part, Microsoft reiterated that, yes, it will absolutely support the Activision employees at Raven who voted for the union. And this was reported by the Kotaku. during a meeting, Phil Spencer this week said that once the merger with Activision Blizzard happens, the company is going to recognize Raven's unionization. Quote, once the deal closes, we would absolutely support employees' organization that's in place. We think it is a right of employees and something that we can be part of a relationship between the company and the people who work with the company.
Well, good for him.
So, I mean, that's what he says. I
Sure.
think that it's a very if Bobby Kotick was saying this, it would be a very different quote. I would read that very differently.
Yes.
But I think that there's a union now. There's a union now. That just changes the whole playing field for everybody. Simply because there is a union. So, yeah. Yay, congratulations, union. Or congratulations, Raven employees, QA testers. Thank you for doing that. You just made everything better for everyone there.
Yeah.
In other news, let's see. What do we have? Oh, hey, do you play? I know we've talked about Stadia, about how Stadia is not as bad as we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we get news today that, did I not write? I did not write the thing. Oh, I didn't write a bumper for it. So if you play Stadia, Stadia save files disappear. If you play Stadia and you are playing Ghost Recon's Breakpoint on Stadia, you haven't gone back there in a while, you might want to check. Apparently this week, a bunch of players' game save files disappeared. And it's not clear whether it's a problem with Stadia or if it's a problem with Ubisoft. But many Stadia users lost hundreds of hours of playtime because their game saves just poof disappeared on Stadia. Now, the good news is that Google is looking into the disappearance. The bad news that it's already been a lot of days and Google has not made any statements about why it's happened other than we're trying to figure it out. We're looking into it. So it started with an announcement in the Stadia's community forums that a user had said that their save file for Ghost Recon Breakpoint was gone. And it became very readily apparent they were not the only one because a bunch of other people started saying, hey, my save file disappeared too. So Google did confirm it.
Uh-oh. Okay, kind of dropped out for half a second. Kind of dropped out for half a second. Just repeat like the past couple sentences.
Awesome. Comcast is awesome. Comcast is awesome.
Just
awesome.
reverse like 2 sentences.
Oh, let's see. 2 sentences. The people in the Stadia forums, multiple people have said that they have lost their game files, their save files. Google did confirm that the issue is happening to multiple people, and they are working on it. And everyone's kind of sort of hoping that Google has a backup somewhere of those save files, so at least everything won't be gone. Maybe they might lose a certain part of it, but Google has been unusually silent about what's going on with Stadia. You and I both know that Google has not been supporting Stadia for a couple of months now, at least. They've kind of washed their hands of it. So it may be that they just they don't give a fuck at this point. They don't have any shits to give. They like to give a shit, but they don't.
They may not care about Stadia, but what they do support is Google's immersive stream. This week, AT&T announced that some of its subscribers would be able to play Control on smartphones using Google's immersive stream for games. Basically, you just need an AT&T mobile plan. Go to att.com/play now. Enter some information, and then you can just start playing Control. And so if they're using Google's immersive stream, that sounds a lot like Stadia. And
It
this also
does.
sounds a lot like Google just taking this technology, giving it to other companies, which is kind of what they said they would do
Right.
several months ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Stadia didn't. I think that they expected it to stick with the community a little bit more than it did.
But again,
And when it didn't, they walked away and it was like, all right, let's pivot.
But I
Move
I
fast and break
disagree.
things.
I disagree. They didn't even give it a chance to.
I don't think they give it.
connect
They don't.
people.
They did not give it enough of a chance.
They
As you and I
walked
both
away.
know, because we finally played with somebody who plays Stadia who loves it, and
Yeah.
we've seen it head to head against Game Pass and Game Pass X or Xbox streaming. Xbox streaming doesn't compare to Google streaming. It works better.
But like even in the beginning, they launched it in a way that was very confusing and felt like very half-hearted. They had walked away before it even came out. Like,
Yeah.
and it's so unclear why, especially considering that the technology behind it is pretty good.
Google sometimes reminds me of the overachieving kid in school, that it's like, I'm not instantly famous or I'm not getting instant praise from everybody. Well, screw you, I'm leaving. It's like, give us a chance. Give us a chance to figure out what you're doing is good or not.
Yeah.
Why don't you try and make it better rather than just not instantly being the perfect person at everything the minute you do it? Why don't you try and learn, figure out how to do it better and stick with something for a little while? But they don't do that. This is Google. This is also an argument of why people were skeptical about, a big reason why people were skeptical about Stadia is because Google tends to walk away from stuff that isn't instantly successful.
Yeah.
And games that you play, any game saves, any games you buy on Stadia could just as easily disappear as they have appeared.
Yeah. It's
For
it's
that
unfortunate
exact reason.
because people were hesitant based on Google's track record, and then they just confirmed that track record. They just confirmed everyone's fears, which means the next time they announce something, people are just going to be suspicious again, because why wouldn't they?
Right. Yepers. So let's see. My next item is Sony announced today, or not today, but this week, that it had a earnings call, because it was the end of the fiscal year. They shared their PC sales figures for the fiscal year of 2021.
Okay.
Sorry, 2021, 2022. The one that ended this March 31st. And in its briefing, they said that they expected exponential growth to be sustained by PC titles beyond the current fiscal year. PC revenue for the firm climbed year over year $35 million. Not just total. That's how much more it made than last year on PC titles. It went from $35 million in 2020 to $80 million in 2021. So it expects to hit, so it's more than doubled. Actually, I'm wrong. It didn't climb $35 million. It climbed $50 million. $45 million. It expects to hit $300 million by the end of fiscal year 2022. So it plans to go from 80 million to above 300 million at the end this time next year. So the company also said that unit sales of its most recent PC releases, the Horizon Zero Dawn sold the most, with no surprise, 2.4 million units. And then God of War with 917,000, and then Days Gone with 852,000. So Horizon Zero Dawn by far, by orders of magnitude, much more successful. They also said that next year currently they have that 20% of its games are available by PC. They want to do that by the end of the current year. Next year they want to make it 30%. So they see PCs sales, PC growth in their games on the PC market as being a big player in a very short period of time. So you are going to start seeing, if they stick to what they made this announcement, I can't imagine that they wouldn't, because it's not like they said this is what's going to happen in the next decade. They said this is what's going to happen in the next year. It's it's happening now. They are absolutely pumping and pushing PC sales as opposed to console sales. So you'll notice it in the way that they're marketing their games, if you haven't already. Because that's a lot of money that they want to make. Think about that. 2020, they made $35 million on PC sales. $80 million in 2021. And by the end of 2022, fiscal year 2022, which ends next year in 2023, they want to hit 300 million. That's a curve going straight up.
Yeah. I mean,
PC Crazy Ray says, give me Spider-Man already, damn it.
when you consider that, like the curve started at 0 because they didn't have anything on PC, it makes sense.
Yep.
I know people are waiting for God of War, Spider-Man and Bloodborne are like the 3 kind of top PC port desires right now for people.
Well, you'll see them. And they're probably estimating a lot of that $300 million for next year from those games in particular.
Yeah.
Because they know that the market is huge for those.
Yeah. I would expect that you'd want to try to have a God of War PC port around the time that God of War 2 launches. It kind of feels like a good timing.
Yep. So, what's your next item?
Well, speaking of Sony stuff, they also announced a lot of television projects. They specifically announced that a God of War series is in the works at Amazon. A
Really?
Horizon Zero Dawn series is in the works at Netflix. And they're making either a show or a movie of Gran Turismo. And not sure if it's like a documentary thing or if it's an actual
Gran
fictional
Turismo?
TV. Yeah, the racing one.
Too fast, too grand?
There's an article on Jalopnik. Is
Jalopnik,
that how
yeah.
you pronounce it?
Jalopnik.
That mentions the idea of a Gran Turismo series kind of feels like the British car show that everyone likes.
Yes. God, what's the name of it? Top Gear.
Yes, Top Gear. Top Gear feels like it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some executive behind the scenes is thinking more Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're thinking.
But these projects are kind of at the same level. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about Alan Wake is in the works for AMC Plus. They're like early decisions. Nothing's really. There's no casting, no writers, no directors. It's just, hey, there's people want to make this. Because remember, Amazon also said it wanted to make a Mass Effect series like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Bitter says if they don't cast Kratos right, heads are likely to roll. It's
very
not.
literally.
It's not a lie. People will be very upset. But there's enough really good potential people for Kratos that wouldn't be super hard.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if you do God of War, I feel like you would have to adapt the modern update with old dad Kratos, because the older games, he wasn't really a character. You know, he was just like big, burly, mad guy that wanted to kill the gods. It made for a really fun game, but like kind of a shallow character.
Right. It was. Yeah, it wasn't until God of War 3 that he really started to become a human, have depth of character. All right. So my next item is I don't have that many items this week. Activision Infinity Ward. Speaking of Activision, we didn't bring this up earlier. Let's see, where is it? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Date is announced. October 28th release date. So we're going to get another Call of Duty game. What a fucking surprise.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah, this is an Infinity Ward one, so doesn't surprise me also. Actually, they've been all of them, haven't they? They no longer like switch back and forth between
No,
the two.
they do.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, I think Infinity Ward did the last Modern Warfare update, so it makes sense. Modern Warfare is the Infinity Ward Call of Duty game.
Right. That's true.
I forget what... Are they still doing Black Ops? Yeah, they still did Black Ops.
Yeah. They did, didn't they? I don't pay attention to Call of Duty. I haven't in years.
I know. There was Call of Duty, there was Black Ops 4, there was the World War II one. Vanguard, that was the most recent
That's
one.
the one, yes.
Right.
Who did Vanguard? That wasn't Infinity, was it?
No, it wasn't. Who
Yeah.
did Vanguard?
So yeah, this Modern Warfare is going to be an Infinity, obviously. They also did show some artwork of the operations with the announcement, but yeah, that's a thing. That is another thing I'm going to not care about in October. But right before Halloween, so there you go. Put it on your calendar if you are a Call of Duty player. There you go. There's the official release date or trailer. Oh, I could pull that up. I should have done that. COD.
It says Jason Momoa or Get the Fuck Out for Kratos.
Oh,
He's good. I think.
yeah,
there are other
I could see
people.
it. But Jason
But he's
Momoa would
good.
have to cut his hair, and I don't know that Jason Momoa would ever cut his hair. Honestly, would Jason Momoa ever fucking cut his hair? The answer is no. I'm sure that's.
But also, I feel like I don't want him to do that because he has charisma, right? Like he became famous as the guy from Game of Thrones, which is kind of an awful role for him because he barely talked. Whereas Momoa actually has like a lot of solid charisma.
Yes, he
Like,
would be. He would be almost too much charisma for. He's too much personality for the character.
Like I think he would do good because he can squish that personality down.
Could he?
Yeah, he was the guy from Game of Thrones, season 1.
Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I can't remember my own name sometimes, but I can remember all the characters out of Call of Duty. I mean, out of Game of Thrones. So yeah, well,
Oh, little blip. Wait, he was in Stargate Atlantis?
he
AC Wraith says Game of Thrones, Stargate Atlantis. That's new. I thought Thrones was his first big one.
that's San Francisco. That's Oakland, and that's a drone. I wonder. That has to be somebody I know that filmed that. Has to be somebody I know that filmed that. No question. This has got to be a friend of mine because this is where we used to fly.
Okay, that's actually kind of a cool commercial. It's like putting up these posters around a dock and then having a drone fly around.
Yep.
That's actually clever.
Yep. That's the thing. I want to know who flew that. It's got to be somebody I know. Got to be. So, yeah. That happened. What else is
Jason Momoa was in Stargate Atlantis.
have you fallen into that hole?
Well, I mean, I never saw the show, but it's interesting to see like what people, famous people now, like what the early roles were when you didn't know them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Are you frozen or you just stopped talking?
No, after season 4 shooting was over, Jason Momoa had his dreadlocks cut off because the weight of them was causing him headaches and whiplash when filming action scenes and even tearing at the roots. They were sewn back on for the start of season 5 filming in July 2008.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
Interesting.
All right. Next item.
Okay, next item. Okay, some Steam Deck stuff. First of all, Steam has issued an update to the Steam Deck with an attempt to lower the fan noise. One of the issues with the fan is that the Steam Deck has been shipping out in waves. People have realized there's kind of two versions, one that supposedly has a quieter fan and one that supposedly has a louder fan. So Valve issued an update that will lower the fan volume, but that fix comes at the cost of battery power. So you can get the fan to be quieter, but it won't last as long. So it's, a bit of a trade-off that, depending on what you want out of it, you win some, lose some.
It's funny that the fan being quieter actually reduces the battery life.
Well, what happens is they lower the speed of the fan to make it quieter, but that means the device gets hotter, and as the device gets hotter, it doesn't last as long.
Right, that makes sense. Because that's exactly what I was thinking, is that they're reducing the speed of the fan, so they're using less less energy, less power to spin the fans. Why would it reduce the life of the battery? But that makes sense. It is a heat thing.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
But in better news, Valve is staying true to its word, and whereas other companies make it damn near impossible to fix your product, the website iFixit will sell nearly every single part of the Steam Deck, including the motherboard. So if something on your Steam Deck breaks,
you can fix it yourself.
You can fix it yourself.
You could, in theory, has somebody tried to build their own Steam Deck?
I'm sure it's possible. Maybe not possible because you can get most parts.
You can't get.
You might not be able to get everything, but I know as part of this, people have also been buying new fans. So their own fix for the fan noise is to just buy a new fan.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at? Does anyone know in the chat room where we are in the right to fix world? I mean, I know that has been going on for quite some time. I
feel like they passed laws that give you the right to repair, but I don't know exactly what that entails. Like if I want to fix my phone, I don't know the hoops I'll have to jump through. Like I'm sure I could get it fixed, but the question is, what are the hoops I'd have to jump through?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the parts list for yeah.
Thing? Here, I've got it.
No, I've got it. There it is. Now I just have to put it into there. There we go. So yeah, there is the list of everything that's in it. And how to tear it down completely. iFixit is such a really good source for this kind of stuff. So, let's see, what else do we have? I have one more story. I only have one more story left. Out of all of that, I just didn't come with that much stories this week. But this one is an interesting one, to say the least. So, let me see if I can find it. CD Projekt Red this week pulled its license from a real-world Witcher school in Poland. Yes, it is a real live LARPing Witcher school that's had to close down because, of course, they pulled the license for The Witcher. This is reported by Eurogamer. The Witcher School, that's what they called it, was a real life school that you could go and you could learn things like leatherwork or fencing or casting magical signs or whatever LARPing stuff you wanted to do, Witcher flavored. It was made by a company, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation because it is Polish and a bunch of Polish where, symbols and letters I don't know the exact pronunciation of, but it was called Five Zwidolo, which is the company that ran the school. And they announced this news on their Facebook page, saying that CD Projekt Red had, quote, terminated the license agreement. Now, the company said that the license was pulled because one of its staff members was involved in a very controversial, ultra-conservative Polish Catholic organization called Ordo Iuris. And this Ordo Iuris organization is known for being anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ, and also against gender equality. And it all comes down to the wife, actually, of one of the founders. Her name is Anna Wozniak, and she's the wife of Dustin Wozniak. He founded the company with, and Anya worked as their lawyer for about 2 years. Recently, Anya started working with Ordo Iuris, she was commissioned to do work on, quote, the legal mechanisms for introducing and enforcing vaccination obligation and possible consequences of failure to comply with it, and, quote, the draft of a new law penalizing abortion. This is according to their Facebook post. Well, CDPR said, yeah, we can't be involved with people that are involved with this. This would be bad. So they're like, yeah, you can't make the Witcher school. Yeah, you can't do the Witcher anymore. So the company is apparently reformulating a different kind of LARP school, that is not Witcher themed, for next year. But they've had to shut down now because they had to cease operations because of it.
So they'll basically just be off-brand Witcher now.
Off-brand Witcher. Yeah. It's the Warlocker LARP series. The mage sword.
Yeah, the magical nomad.
Right. White hair Scarga people LARP with swords. So yeah, it's a thing. CDPR has to stay away. They've had enough controversy in the last 2 years. They need to stay the fuck away from everything. So
yeah, well, they especially don't want that when they're working on. Granted, it's years away, but Witcher 4, they don't need anything to sully that name.
It's the only thing they've got going for them is Witcher. It's the only thing that we sort of forgive them, like it keeps them in our hearts just a little bit right now. Is The Witcher. So they cannot have the golden goose pooped on.
And that's right. I remember Bitter says cool medieval guy school.
Cool medieval guy school. Yes.
But AC Wraith says off-brand as opposed to using a fan-created Link school. Because remember, the logo for The Witcher 4 had a lynx. And Geralt is always associated with a wolf because that's like the school he went to.
Right.
They used a lynx, but the lynx is part of like a fan-created thing. It's not really an in-fiction canonical school. So it seems as if CD Projekt is going to take that fan idea and make it canonical.
Right.
So off-brand Witcher is like not
Off-brand
too
Witcher
far
is kind of Witcher.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that is my last item. It was in the realm of the weirdo stories.
Okay. I actually have quite a
A
bit.
few more. Yeah.
In small stories, well, big stories that we don't have anything much to say about, EA announced a sequel to a fine game with a terrible title, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which sounds like it should be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but they have it as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know what the logic is, but they announced Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And it's a sequel to Fallen Order, which was a cool game.
Any details? Any announcement about when?
The only
what?
details is it's coming out in 2023, and it will be exclusive to next gen consoles, so
Oh.
PS5 and Xbox Series. Other than that, don't have much information. Made by the same creative director as the first game, same team as the first game, so I can't expect it to be too different. And yeah, it's something to look forward to because that first game
It wasn't
was-
bad. It was all right.
neat.
It did okay.
There was some stuff about it that I didn't like. There was some stuff about it that I did like. It was a cool enough game that I got to the end of it and enjoyed my time with it.
So, do you think that you will be picking this up?
Maybe.
If it's on Game Pass?
I mean, I would if it's on Game Pass, but I don't think it'll be on Game Pass.
So yeah, there's the big reveal trailer.
I'm sure there's some like Star Wars lore stuff that it gets into. He's looking at someone in a tank, but I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So, anything else?
Yes, this is kind of a coming full circle from last week. Last week we talked about how the multiplayer survival horror game Dead by Daylight was getting a dating simulator spin-off where all of the killers would be dateable. Well, now we have the developer of what is actually like a really well-regarded dating simulator called Dream Daddy. Their next game is a psychological horror game.
Do they have the name?
Yes, they have a name and a trailer. So I'm sharing the trailer now.
Okay. It's about to pull up the trailer.
I guess I'll turn the music on just because it's a mood piece more than anything else. It's about like a serial killer where you're someone wandering around a home trying to solve puzzles while avoiding a serial killer and trying to like not let your friends get killed. But based on the trailer, it has a real surreal kind of Twin Peaksy vibe to it that honestly I really dig. Like if it was just a serial killer story, I think that'd be fine. But the fact that it looks so surreal makes me intrigued.
And we've lost our feed. Okay, there we are. We're back. So, no, did they have a date on that?
Yes, it should be coming. Let me exit. Shoot, let me exit the full screen.
This is why you need to leave it to the professionals, Nick.
It's coming this year.
Okay. So maybe the two of those companies need to get together and like compare notes.
Yeah, it doesn't have a release date, but it says coming soon. So I assume it will be this year, and it's set to go on sale on Steam and the Epic Games
Bitter
Store.
says he wants Dream Mommy.
I can still get to that one after the
Oh, buddy.
serial killer.
And Bitters also wants to know in Jedi's Star Wars Jedi Survivor, can you go fishing?
Not that I know of, unfortunately.
And, then it's not a good game. All the best games have fishing in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Steam just says soon for that one. Anything else?
Yes, Sony has announced the next State of Play event. It's going to be on Thursday, June 2nd. So I think that's the day I leave.
Is
No.
it?
No, the 2nd is Thursday. Yes, I'll be leaving at midnight on that day. So I'll be able to watch the State of Play because it takes place at 3 p.m.
Okay, so midnight that same night. So actually it's at midnight on the 3rd. So you'll be awake.
Yeah. I will be leaving around midnight on the 3rd. The Sony State of Play event is taking place at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Oh, you're taking a red eye to New York. That's a rough one.
Well, just sleep on the plane. I like sleeping on planes. I love the rumble of the plane. It's just
Yeah, but you arrive at 6 a.m. And that's very early in the morning, and then you have to stay up all day.
Yeah.
So, all right, which as a reminder, next week we do not have a show. Right? Yep.
Yes.
Next week,
because
no show.
I will not be here.
Yeah,
Unless you want
we're
to
dark.
on yourself.
Yeah. I may stream something.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I'll probably just play Crusader Kings multiplayer and stream it. I want to get a bunch of people together to play it so that we can all argue against each other.
What's the maximum of people that you can play?
I know you can do at least 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, which is hilarious when you're playing together because then you all get like different countries together. Oh, yeah. Super funny.
Anyway, Sony has said that there's going to be a bunch of third-party partners in the State of Play. So nothing first-party, but it will offer a sneak peek of games in development for the PlayStation VR 2.
Right. Did you see I believe it was a Kotaku article about how Game Pass, that there's a number of fairly popular journalists / social media types that had said that with the lack of AAA games coming out for Xbox Game Pass, that they were canceling their account for right now because there's just nothing. They're AAA chasers. There's just nothing.
I had seen that.
Yeah, that got a lot of controversy for a lot of good reasons, a lot of bad reasons. Is that it wasn't really that big of news until Kotaku made the article, and then it kind of became an issue that kind of wasn't there. Like people started to point out, this is not an issue. People cancel their Game Pass all the time because if you don't see something coming out in the next month or so that you might want, then, or you're not really playing it that much, then cancel it for a couple of months and then come back. It's not like you're losing anything because of it.
But that is an issue. That's an issue because if people are only subscribing to play the big AAA Microsoft first-party stuff, then that means eventually Microsoft will start paying less for the indie games that don't drive people there.
I think that is all right. I think they already pay less for the indie games. I think that they would be fools if they didn't. I think that it is everybody? No, there's a lot of people who are still on Game Pass that the indie games are tying them over just fine, or the smaller games are tying them over. There are people who only chase AAA games. This is not a surprise or a revelation, but they're going to be one part of the bell curve, and they're not being served this year because of the delays that needed to be made. So if we lose them for a couple of months, they'll come back when the AAA games are.
But the problem is when Microsoft, after buying Activision, has this whole fucking slew of AAA first party things that they can put out month after month after month, then it changes the nature of what Game Pass is. Instead of being a subscription service where I can experiment and play games like Norco, Far Changing Tides, or Citizen Sleeper, or Vampire Survivors without paying, $10 to $15 and just pick up these weird little indie games I've heard about and try them out, into basically a movie pass where I'm going to go see only the biggest Marvel movies. The fear is that it will do for video games. It will do to Game Pass what has happened to movie theaters, in that people don't go to theaters to see the average movie. They go to see the blockbuster. And that has changed the nature of theaters and movie making. And the fear is that if yes, right now, if people are just chasing AAA games and they unsubscribe for a couple months, that's fine. But what about in a couple years, when the very nature and the face and the library of Game Pass has changed such that that's now a majority of players? Then that completely changes the financial dynamics for an indie studio.
Well, then we get into a chicken and egg situation. You bringing back to movie theaters. There were always people who wanted to go to small independent films, who always liked small independent films. It was the studios who decided that it was easier and cheaper to go after the blockbuster types. And so they fomented it so that it became a self-fulfilling prophecy that only blockbusters do well.
And
it was not that people decided the blockbusters. A lot of people went to blockbusters, and people wrecked into movie making.
No, one of the things that caused people to only see blockbusters in theaters is the rise of streaming, where now you could see your average thriller movie, you could see your average political thriller or comedy,
or documentary or something
right?
like that.
Something that doesn't need to be seen on a big screen.
Right.
Game Pass originally was like that for indie games, right? Where you could normally spending $20 to play a game, like if you don't have a lot of money, that's still a big ask, right?
Right.
Game Pass allowed you to just like play whatever the fuck. And it was kind of a boon for indie games. And now you're kind of seeing the shift of, this thing that was once a boon to indie games is now shifting to just be yet another vector for feeding people AAA games and squeezing the indie games out of that market, which will then kind of leave them back at square one or even less. Like where does that leave them?
Right. AC Ray says, Dream Mommy is every dating game with a female lead for me, as I go for the lesbian option. And Bitter says, I've been playing Vampire Survivor. You got to play it. Iruga, you remember we saw him up at PAX. I saw him playing. He was on Steam at the same time I was. And I noticed he was playing Vampire Survivor. I'm like, how is it? And he's like, so good. So good. So addictive. So
I think I played a little bit more of that. And see, that's a Game Pass game.
Mm-hmm. Yippers. So anything else?
Yes, a couple things. This is one I wished I could read a bit more about, because I just saw the headline just now. But Sony had a presentation for their Game and Network Services segment. And one of the things it does is break down spending on the launches. And specifically, it broke down spending on the consoles on PS4 to PS5. And what's kind of interesting is just how the spending of consumers who have a PS5 differs from people that have a PS4. Specifically, PS5 players seem to spend more on microtransactions, but less on full games. So what that means is spending on PS5 increased about 15% total.
So PS4 people spend more on microtransactions, less on full games.
Opposite. PS5 from PS4 to PS5. PS5 users seem to spend 21% less on full games. But add-ons go up by 247%. And
That's
go up by
huge.
21%. So, if anything, I wonder if this is indicative of there not being a lot of PS5 exclusive games. That people who have a PS5 are generally not buying full games, and instead have their game, and they're just continually buying the add-ons for it, right? The season
I also
passes.
have to ask how much of that was driven by the pandemic. I think that a lot more people spent more time playing games than a particular title than they normally would have.
I mean, the PS5 came out in 2020. Like, it came out peak pandemic. So naturally, any spending analysis between the PS5 and now is going to be pandemic spending.
Right. And yeah, there's probably because there was a lack of titles, things that people wanted to play on the PS5. There was also a pandemic where they were sitting at home doing nothing else and needed something to spend, whereas they would spend money because they didn't walk away from the game because they had life. There's a lot of things playing into that number that I wouldn't call the console being different necessarily.
Yeah, it's just like you said. It's
I feel much more comfortable spending. I feel much more comfortable spending money on a new console for games, like discretionary spending on a brand new console. Like at this point, if I owned a PS4, it'd be like, do I really want to buy the DLC for the PS4? Do I really want to do that? Because eventually I'm going to be getting a new console pretty soon. Do I really want to be spending more on that? I want to wait until I get the console. Then I'm going to buy all the shit.
Yeah. It's just an interesting breakdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that can go into it, but it's just interesting to kind of see the numbers and try to interpret them.
Yep. So, and yeah, there's the article. Anything else?
This is I feel like this would be bigger news for a bigger game, but EA has announced an update for Battlefield 2042 that basically adds a bunch of things that should have been in it from the beginning.
Yeah.
They just kind of added in a bunch of fixes, and they put out a roadmap. And the roadmap basically says that from June to August, they're going to have traversal improvements and animation improvements. Basically, they're going to add in animations that were missing from the game. Because I have seen comparisons of 2042 to
That's a sad thing.
1. And like, what's interesting is looking down and looking up. And in the previous games, if you did that, you could see your body, and the angle at which you could see your gun changed so that it looked like you were going up and down. Whereas in 2042, you just had it in front of you, and that view kind of was the same no matter what. So instead of seeing the angle of the gun move, it just stayed static, even as the camera moved. And just various things like if you go prone and you turn around, there's kind of an animation where you see your feet turn that makes it look like you're going from your stomach to turning onto your back. That's not in 2042. Absolutely. And it's a lot of little touches like that, made people think this was an unfinished game because it was just missing a lot of the little
fuck up.
Not necessarily quality of life, but just the little tiny details of movement and animation that were in previous games, and the kind of things that I think the average player couldn't name, but when they play the game, they go, "This just feels different.
Yeah.
It feels lesser. It feels like something's missing."
Yeah.
And those are the things that they now
Polish.
seem to be adding back in.
What it is, it's polish to make it feel like a finished AAA title.
Yeah. So they're adding polish to the game a year after it came out. And with that is also, previously they had announced that they would be changing some of the maps in order to make it a bit easier, put up things to protect people from snipers, and some of those map updates are going to be coming in the summer and fall.
AC Wraith says, to be fair, we've been playing Redacted, which he means Demon.
Elden Ring?
Elden Ring, thank you. We've been playing Elden Ring, which we know darn well isn't quite finished.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You know, that 150-hour open world extravaganza lacks
Not
polish.
quite finished. Lacks
Yeah.
polish.
It so lacks polish. God, it's the animations awful.
And he says they still try to finish quest lines with each update and still aren't done.
I mean, that's not entirely true. I think they've changed. I think there was one quest line that was bugged in the beginning that you couldn't actually finish, and they've patched that in. But they're not adding quest lines.
So, anything else?
That is actually it.
Oh, cool. That's
That is
all
all
I got too. So you're leaving on the 3rd. What did you say was going on? Oh, the State of Play on the 2nd.
Yes.
It's at 3 p.m. our time. Do we want to? What day is that? That is Tuesday? No, that is
It's a Thursday.
3rd. Wait, June 3rd?
No, 2nd.
June 2nd, right. Do we want to try? I mean, Thursday we could try and live stream it.
I mean, 3 p.m. is kind of a weird
It is. It's
time.
the middle of my day.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to hide the fact from my boss that I would be working. Let's
talk about it after the fact.
Yeah, let's talk about it after. So, as a reminder, we are dark next week. Everybody gets a week off. Take some time, put your feet up, get some iced tea, slide back in that lovely early summer, wear some sunscreen, and take the day off, as we will both. Nick is going to be in New York. I am going to be here vacuuming. We moved Kevin's desk as we finally got enough of the wires away from going through the floors and the walls that we could actually move the desk away from the wall. And you could see in the where the feet had been for the last 20 years. And it's like, oh, hey, that's the carpet.
Before. That's what the color should be.
That's the color of the carpet. Holy crap. Yeah. It was at one point a very light cream. It is no longer a light cream. So yeah, I'm going to be vacuuming and doing stuff like that. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. Please, everyone, be very careful. My downstairs house guest came back positive with COVID. My neighbor went positive with COVID. Everybody's positive with COVID right now. So please be very careful, especially if you're going to go out tomorrow with Memorial Day. If you have ever looked at the infection rates in 2020 and 2021, you will notice that the spike happens right after Memorial Day. Why? Because everyone gets together. They don't practice safe distancing. They don't wear their masks. They touch food. They touch their face. They touch their noses. Yeah, this is the beginning. In a week, less than a week from now, the summer surge will begin, and it's going to be awful. So please be very safe. Please be mindful. I know we want to forget the COVID is out there. It very much isn't. 300 people a day are still dying in this country. Even people that are quadruple vaccinated, like my neighbor, quadruple vaccinated, came down positive. So I'm glad he's vaccinated. Otherwise, I would be very concerned for him health-wise. But still, you can catch it, whether you're vaccinated or not at this point. Have a great week. Thank you again, AC Wraith, for being here. And let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 641. We recorded this on Sunday, May 29th, 2022. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of
There's
us.
only one of me.
No, only one of you. Ways to get a hold of us. Gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday except for next week. 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. On Facebook and Twitch, we are The GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, as in videos. Please feel free to join us live. We would love to have you, just like Bitters, just like had Corey Wallace. Of course, AC Wraith, who's our link bitch, who does all our linkings. We had Blood Reaper, who is our news bastard, who gives us all of our hints and tips of what's going on. By the way, if you want to give us tips about something you want us to talk about, go to our Discord channel. You can find our Discord link on our Facebook page. Join our Discord channel. There is a channel there for news tips. We absolutely look at that. So we would love to have you. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. If I didn't catch your name, let's see. Bitters was there. AC Wraith was there. I don't see anybody else. Well, I mean, I know Corey was there. I know Blood Reaper's probably in there somewhere. Bunch of people who probably didn't talk. So if you were listening, thank you very much. And if you'd like to listen to the show after the fact as a podcast, first off, the videocasts are available on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. But if you want to just listen to it as a podcast, you can go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, Audible. They're all there. So please, if you do listen to us as a podcast, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and say, hey, that was awesome. We like this, because it helps other people find us. Everyone, try that again. Everyone, have a fantastic Memorial Day. Please honor those who have served to help keep this country free, and other countries as well. Please take a moment to remember your veterans, and for those who gave the greatest price for the price of freedom. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Be well. Talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye. And we are stopping. We are saving. It is GH.
AC Wraith has mentioned
641 raw.
Mentioned that patches for Elden Ring actually added steps in quest lines, which is interesting. I did not know that.
All right.
That's kind of cool.
So, I'm going to go. AC Wraith, everybody, please take care of yourself. Have a great week. I'm probably... Do you want to try a little Crusader Kings tonight? Little Crusader Kings multiplayer, just a little tiny bit.
Tonight, I think. Okay, I think I could. I'll make some time tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Shoot me a message. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to have you.
Okay.
We will play in England. It will make things easier.
Okay.
I will marry my daughter to your son.
Okay. If she tries to kill my son,
I can't help that.
Her.
Once she's under your house, you have to take care of her.
I will have my vengeance.
All right, you do
that.
The
land will be painted red with the blood.
You do that. All right, everyone. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.